to Microsoft Dynamics Weekly. I'm your host, Noah Mosley, in a little bit different format today. Whereas I usually post these podcasts early Monday mornings, I'm rolling these out before Monday as we have a conference coming up next week in Chicago for Dynamics User Group. It's their big annual DynamicsCon conference, and the next several podcasts I'm releasing feature speakers from that conference. For this next discussion, which is my fourth for this morning, I have Belinda Allen with us. Belinda is with iLink Digital. Good morning, Belinda. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Noah. Thanks. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Everything is nice and sunny down here in Pensacola. I am ready for the busy beach tourist season and hurricane season.
Yep, we're getting ready for hurricane season in South Carolina too, but it's overcast and rainy, but still warm, so
How
can't
how
complain.
close to the coast are you over there?
Well, now I'm about an hour and a half as
Oh, okay.
but I have lived almost all my life between 5 minutes and an hour and a half from the beach. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm a beach girl
And did you
too.
get hit last year big with the storms?
We only had one that was kind of bad, and we did just fine. We moved in just enough inland to miss the bulk of the hurricane force itself, but right before the tornadoes kick in. So yeah, I think we're in a pretty good spot. We'll see how the
Yep.
next couple of years go, but yeah.
Well, I am right in um, the bullseye, I guess. It's
Yes,
been a
you
few
are.
years since I've been hit last, but we'll see how this summer goes. I have high hopes of a calm hurricane season.
Me too. Maybe we can bring it on if manifest it
You
if we
know,
both just keep chanting it.
okay, good deal.
Okay.
So you have got two sessions next week up in Chicago.
I do.
Are you flying? Are you going to be there Tuesday for that partner conference?
Um,
Partner
I
marketing?
I'm a little unsure if I'm going to come in on Monday or Tuesday. I crazily enough have not booked my travel ticket yet. Um, I
Oh,
I probably will come in on you know what? I really should just look and see when my hotel reservation is. That might be the telltale.
all right, so that's for Tuesday if you do make it there. Then they have the official kickoff on Wednesday. So that morning they've got the keynote presenter, and you've got two sessions that Wednesday, the 14th. This is for next week, coming up fast.
Right.
So I'll just roll through the times and the names here. 9:45 on Wednesday, you've got Fabric fast track end-to-end implementation in 60 minutes. And then that afternoon at 2:15, you've got sales forecasting with Microsoft Fabric notebooks and Fabric data science. And I think you're doing both of those just solo.
I
Yep, I don't see
am.
anybody else listed as
Yep.
presenters there.
Just me.
So you want to talk about the morning show there? That's the
Yeah.
Fabric Fast Track.
Yes. So this one is going to be seriously fast paced. What I'm going to do in the time I have available is I'm going to do a live fabric implementation using some. Obviously, I'm not going to do a whole lot of data transformation if I'm going to do it all within an hour, but I want people to see a holistic approach of what it's like with fabric using some of the elements. What's different than Power BI when they're dealing with that? Because fabric is really it encompasses Power BI as well, but it's data mostly, right? So we're focusing on data. And so I'm going to um, fast and furiously create a workspace, create a lake house, and then I'm going to ingest data. I'll do a little bit of transformation on the data. I'm going to create a semantic model, create a little bit of DAX for the semantic model. And I do want to point out that I'll be doing everything using a browser. So no Power BI desktop at all in this scenario. So all of the Mac people in 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 the event, we'll be applauding a little bit that they don't have to have the Power BI desktop to do all those things. And then I'm going to actually create a report, do a little bit of analytics, and I'm even going to give a preview of my afternoon session. I'll do a little bit of a sales forecast in there. And so I'm going to be using elements like data flows. Obviously, I've already mentioned the lake house. I usually do not get too much into data factory pipelines specifically. I might do a little bit of pipelines, we'll see. But then I also use Notebook and Python to help me create my sales forecast at the end. And so it's just a way to see everything from beginning to end. And not only am I going to be doing it live, but I'm going to be yakking the whole time, which is normal anyhow. You know me. You know I just talk nonstop. And so I'm going to be giving away some of my perspectives, some tips, some best practices all throughout all of it. And so I will go prepared just in case we have Wi-Fi issues with a recorded version. But usually when I come prepared with a recorded version of something like that, that's heavily internet dependent, usually, knock on wood, let me find some wood, there we go, and knock on my head too. I don't have internet problems, so I'm able to go through. Although I did this session once with someone in Microsoft, one of the architects from Microsoft in the room, and afterwards he came up and he told me that he was just panicky for me for the whole hour.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny, but yeah, so I think this is going to be a really fun session, especially for people who aren't really sure what Fabric is. I mean, I'm not getting into the explanation of what it is, but I'll be explaining what I'm doing along and along. So they'll be able to see what it is, and they'll be able to, secondhand experience it all. Are you playing with Fabric?
And I have not. So I'm brand new to the terminology and everything for Fabric here. So
Okay.
you got a newbie on the phone with you here.
Oh, I wish we had screen sharing. I would just start talking and I get very excited about it. Fabric is great for people who have large data, real-time data, and I want to step back and talk about that for just a second. And people who have complex data. So any of those could cause you to land into the Fabric space. And
Mhm.
so it's really not about big user or small user. It's all about the data. What about the data? Now, I said I would come back and talk about the real-time piece. We often think a lot, we want real-time data. And I go back and forth between, especially for ERP users, for those Dynamics ERP users like GP and BC and F&O. What is real time? And in my opinion, unless you have really large data being processed every day, large volumes of data, real time or as of last night is usually uh, it's way more than sufficient. It falls into the near real time category where you're basically acting as if it's real time data. But when I'm
Mhm.
talking about real time data, I'm talking about things like um, some of the projects that we've been working on at iLink Digital would be like fast food chain. Every time someone orders something, the whole order in detail comes flowing in from all over the globe. Or
Mhm.
weather. We were talking about hurricanes. That's an example I always use. NOAA.
Oh, is
I,
it?
for years, I've been in the habit. I go to NOAA Kane Hurricane Center June 1st through October 31st, almost every single day, just so I can see what's out there and I know how to plan the next week or two, and I just pay attention. And so if you
Mhm.
think about what they have to have in order to track hurricanes, I learned a lot about different things that are tracked with weather from being a sailor. But they have all of these different buoys all over the place. I mean, they're in the Pacific, they're in the Gulf, they're in the Atlantic. I mean, they're in the Caribbean. They're all over the place. So in each one of those buoys, they're tracking what is the temperature outside, what's the average wind speed, what's the wind gust to, what is the temperature of the surface of the water, what is the temperature below the water, what's the average wave height, what's the rogue wave height, which way is the current going, what's the speed of the current. Those are just to name a few, and you multiply that times the number of buoys they have, that where they're tracking all this information. I'm assuming it's with buoys. And then you multiply that times the frequency at which they need to capture that information in order to make the accurate predictions that they do. And you and I both know from paying attention to hurricanes that they are pretty darn accurate. And so,
Usually.
yeah, usually. Well, they shift, right? It'll shift a little bit. They can't always account for the shifting, but they're pretty darn accurate for what they have, and much better than years ago where they just said, hey, we heard there's a storm out there over Puerto Rico and the Bahamas, so it might be coming this way. I mean, that, much better than that. So that's real-time data. Yeah, that's real-time data, being able to do all that so you can calculate. So real-time data, you definitely need that, but really the rest depends upon the complexity of it, or and the complexity can cause some performance issues with Power BI if you have a lot of complexity and a lot of data talking to each other. And so Fabric is a way to handle that in a much more performant way, if performant is a word. Performant, I don't know. You know what my thing is? You just put ish after the end of it and it's a new word. So much more performance-ish way. And so and so that's really what Fabric is about, the whole data side, everything we do with the data, including predictions and data science and what we want to do with things. So the fast track one, I seriously am doing an end-to-end implementation, all the way from starting the workspace to getting reports, doing a little bit of analysis, and taking it even one step further. So that should be fun.
Good. And it's tagged with cross-product, so it doesn't matter which ERP they're using.
No,
is that correct?
That is correct. I use fake data. Frequently, I will say I use GP data a lot. Sometimes from SQL, sometimes not. But I do that not because of anything being GP specific, but because after, I became a Great Plains partner in 1990. I became an implementation partner, qualified installer. That's how long ago it was, in 1991. They don't even have those anymore. And so you go back to 1991 and you learn that lesson data. Well, actually, because this was the one that came with the Windows version, so that would have been 94. But you play with data that long, you know it inside and out, and that's why I use it, because I can emulate a lot of ERP systems by talking about specific things, and that's why I use it. Not because it's particular to there, but yeah, we are going to be, both sessions, in fact, are ERP agnostic for anybody who happens to be there from an ERP system. But really and truly, it's completely cross, for as far as the data goes, it's cross all products. It doesn't matter what the data is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your audience for the session, is it mainly IT people in a mix of clients, users, and partners, or is it accounting people as well?
Oh, good question. The audience here would be for anybody who wants to or either manage data from an engineering, data science, admin, report developer point of view, to people who want to and decision makers. So it's
Hmm.
not going to really be for people who would just be report consumers, which there are a lot of those, or people who would want to build reports, but anyone else who is on the more technical side to decision makers. So it definitely is for partners as well that maybe haven't had a chance to get in and learn about a little bit more about fabric as we go along. So that's who it would be for. So not the people who are going to be consuming reports, because the report building aspect of it is going to be very small. I'm not spending a lot of time building a report out, which I know sounds crazy coming from me, but it's all about fabric. It's not about the report. We've had Power BI. July 24th, I believe, will be 10 years we've had Power BI. So it's
Hmm.
not about Power BI. It's about the data and everything that leads up to it getting to Power BI.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Any other points you want to throw in about this session before I go to the next one for you?
No, it's just going to be fast paced. It's going to be almost all demo and discussion. So,
Okay.
yeah, almost all demo and discussion. So anyone who goes, I had put down a time to talk about fabric on Thursday, but I'm going to move that to Wednesday because my Thursday's been a little, altered already for next Thursday. But yeah, I welcome anybody who wants to sit and chat. At lunch on Wednesday or grab me between sessions. I am there to talk fabric all they want. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So this session, that's Wednesday, on the 14th, that's next week,
Yep.
is 9:45 that morning, Fabric Fast Track end-to-end implementation in 60 minutes. That's in the
Yep.
Toronto West Tower.
Yep.
You'll be available for questions during lunch, and then you have your next session that same day. The afternoon is going to be at 2:15. Different tower,
Mm-hmm.
Randolph 2 in the East Tower. And the name of this one is Sales Forecasting with Microsoft Fabric Notebooks and Fabric Data Science.
Yes. So this one is like this new passion, if you will, of mine. So I had a
Okay.
client last fall who was implementing a tier one forecasting tool, and they were having a lot of difficulties. And I had trained them on Power BI earlier in the year, and so they called me up and they said, "Hey, can you help us? Do something to help us limp along to it because we want to have this in place, have something in place by uh, January 1st or really December 1st for planning. And then, until we can get this other tool implemented." And I kind of helped him out with it, but I kept saying, "Oh, you don't want to do it this way. You don't want to do it this way." And I could not let go of that scenario out of my hands.
Hmm.
They did a good job. They got it going. I did help them with that. So I feel a little pleased with that, but still not happy because it's like, oh, there could have been so many cooler ways to do it. That's how this session came to be, thinking about them. And we're kind of worried about them. Sales forecasting, or really forecasting of any kind, is we're thinking about it more and more because of AI. We know that there's some opportunities to do some things. Now, a lot of tools come with forecasting. Power BI even has a visual, the line chart, where if you have a sequential value in the x-axis, like date, then you can do specifically if it's time related, has to be time related, then you could do a sales forecast, and it's going to just be in the visual where you can get a range. And so that's pretty cool. But so I took that visual, which I knew existed, and that was keeping me up at night thinking about how we've all the partners have had those. So it's like, oh, how could I have made that better and made it
Hmm.
easier for them? So I kind of combined the two because instead of just having it in the line visual, wouldn't it be nice if you had your forecast in your data model so that you could create some DAX functions and do some variances? How far away am I? How far off was I? And so forth. So forecasting is part of that. Now, forecasting in Fabric can be done in a couple of methods. One method is using Fabric notebooks. And what Fabric notebooks are technically, it's Apache Spark, if some of you are familiar with that, built into Fabric, where we could use Python to do things, either bring in data or transform data. So we have a lot of different things we can do with Python. And Python is a programming language that has a lot of very mathematical elements to it. We even have R available in notebooks. I am not an R person. I don't think I'll ever be an R person because I remember one time I looked at, and I'm going to talk about machine learning in a minute. It's like picking the algorithm is like the hard part. So I got a book, Algorithms Made Easy. It looks like a kindergarten book. It reads like an MIT dissertation. And then I realized, oh, algorithms, not my thing. I'm not that mathematical. So I realized very quickly I need to stay out of the R family. So Python is something that I never learned stupidly because I don't like snakes. I later found out, I know it has nothing to do with snakes, right? It's a programming language, but still, ugh. But then I found out it was Monty Python. And it's like, well, that's
Monty
different.
Python.
Yeah, it was named after Monty Python, not the snake.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I know, I'm like, oh, well, if I'd known that, I would have learned it a long time ago because my favorite color is blue. Okay. If you know Monty Python, you know what I'm talking about. But anyhow, I digress. So, with Python, I can create using one of the libraries. Actually, there's a variety of libraries. I choose to use one that was created by Facebook, interestingly enough, and I can create a sales forecast, and then I could turn around and save that sales forecast into my data model. So now it's an extra field like that I could use alongside my actual numbers and my budgeted numbers. So now I have a deeper element of what I could look at when I'm looking at my data and looking at my reports. Now, not only can you then programmatically do things with Python or R, if you are so inclined, but there is also another component in Fabric besides notebooks. And notebooks are part of the data engineering experience. But there's also a data science experience. And the data science has machine learning, and then you can extend machine learning with experiments. Now, I already mentioned that a little bit about machine learning. I got interested in machine learning when it was in preview, when Microsoft had it in preview. I don't remember how many years ago, but it was quite a few. I know it's less than 10 because I was when I first saw it at a SQL Saturday, and I was there for Power BI things. So it's less than 10, but I think more than 8. I don't know. I know that just leaves 9, but we'll say 9-ish. And then, but the machine learning is interesting. Machine learning can do a lot of predicting of all kinds of things. So the demo that I used to give when I first started in with machine learning, and then I backed out, I didn't realize, AI wasn't the route I was going at the time, although I work with iLink Digital now. I'm the director of enablement, and we are heavy on both data and AI. So, and Power Platform as far as that goes. It's a global company, so we do a lot of big things. But for the AI piece, for machine learning, I used to do this demo where I was a used car dealer, and I knew all the used cars I sold. I knew how much I sold them for. And then I had a lot of what I'm going to call metadata about the car. What year was it? What model was it? How many cylinders did the engine have? How many miles did it have on it? What color was it? What shape is the engine? Was it a coupe, a sedan, or SUV, or a truck, or a van, or what was it? I had all this information about each of those vehicles. So when a new vehicle comes in, I need only to enter in that metadata for machine learning to tell me what it predicts that vehicle will sell for. And so it trains using my historical data. So it's already factoring in my staff, me, my geographical area, because it's using my sales. It's using my data to train. So that's the example. So if it could do that, obviously it could go in and do a forecast. So there are ways that we can go in and you do forecast with that. In fact, it even works with notebooks from the data engineering side as well. So we can programmatically do things for machine learning and take advantage of that stronger, I guess it's stronger, definitely more mathematical approach to creating a forecast. So that is, those two elements get discussed here along with what you need to take into consideration for doing a sales forecast. The two most important things that you need to take into consideration are the time series element and um, and trends, or sorry, let me back up. Trends and seasonality. Okay, trends being part of the time series. Now, when I say that to you, you're probably thinking exactly what I thought the first time that I was talking with a data science person at Microsoft, and they said that to me. And I thought, well, no, duh. But I wouldn't have necessarily thought about the importance of those two things had they not said it. Now it's stuck in my head that I have to have both
Mhm.
of those things, because without trends and without looking for seasonality, it and it would be like a pot shot as to whether or not the forecast was how accurate the forecast was. So the trading of it goes through and it looks for that. What kind of trends do we have? Is there seasonality involved in it? So it's not just looking at the first day of the month or the second day of the month or the
Mhm.
first week or the second week of the month. But it also is looking for trends in different our seasonality as well. Okay, so maybe the 10th of a month is really great for sales, but only in the months, I'll think of oysters now, only in the months that have R's in them, right? I mean, it just,
Mhm.
any kind of weird thing like that, it could take that into consideration. And so I try to also give some things that you want to take into consideration when you're doing a sales forecast, what you need to be looking for, what you need to watch out for, and so that you could do those, and even more importantly, have it as a piece of your data. So that I love that visual with the line. I've demoed it, I've trained users on it, I've implemented it um, a lot over the 10 years
Mhm.
that Power BI has been around. And you've known me that time, so you know I hopped on the Power BI bandwagon before they
Yep.
finished saying they only got out the word power, and I'm like, I'm there. And so but yeah, so but you know, there's so much more value if it's an element of our data, if it's something that we can actually dig into and look for, especially with Copilot coming in, because Copilot then can go through and start analyzing that forecast along with your budget and along with your actual data, and could do so much more for you. So all those elements are extremely important. So it is, my biggest passion is still user adoption. But this kind of concept is something that I I can't get out of my head. It's becoming a new passion of mine. And every time I do something, I go back and I think about all of the ERP implementations I did, the 25 years I was doing that. And like, oh, they could have benefited and they could have benefited. And so it I can't help myself but think about all of those that would have benefited. And so
Yep.
bringing it to DynamicsCon is maybe a way I can make that happen.
That's awesome. I mean, you
Yeah.
have some great sessions here. I love the enthusiasm.
Oh yeah,
So
I'm
it's
super
infectious
passionate.
even.
Yeah. Super
Yeah.
passionate about it for sure.
So you got both those the same day, morning and then in the afternoon.
Yep.
They have on their website and in the app the connection information for you, mainly through LinkedIn. But I have not downloaded the app yet, but I'm sure they have connection stuff in there for
Yep.
connecting to the presenters in the app.
Yes.
If you
Huva
want to get
is,
to,
yeah. Yep. Huva's the
yeah,
app
so
that they're using. Yeah.
yeah, so in the app, they'll have options for communicating with you from the audience. So, and you're going to be around, you said, for lunchtime if people want to talk to you during that time.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep. And at each
Uh,
session, I'll also mention a little more time that I'll be available if they want to talk about it. So, yeah, because nothing
okay.
makes me happier than talking about it.
I know, I can tell. That is awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And you
Well,
have been
thanks for
doing these
having me.
sessions for quite a while.
I have been. Yes, I have been. So, um, my introduction, I mentioned I started in 91 with Great Plains. That was when I started in technology. And oh my gosh, before it was sometime in the 90s that I started presenting on things. So besides our own user groups that we had within our own company for our users, we started doing user groups back in DOS days, and so we did them quarterly for our customers, and we kind of because we were in Myrtle Beach at the time, and Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and because of where we were geographically, we had a pretty big geographical area. So we would have one in Myrtle Beach, we'd have one in Charleston, South Carolina, and then we would have one in Sumter, South Carolina. So we did three a quarter, and that's where I started presenting, and I becoming community oriented became a big passion of mine. In fact, I am also and have been for quite a few years one of the six leads. Wait a minute, one, two, three, four, five leads um, for the Power BI Women's Group, which is on Meetup. So
Okay.
we've got about 1,200, almost 1,200 members now, and I actually I'm running two book clubs through that. One's on Power Query for Power BI, and the other one is on Python. So I wanted to learn Python. So I just decided to take people on my learning journey with me. That's one thing a lot of people don't think about. I encourage everybody to try presenting. It doesn't matter what level you are, there is a group of people at the same level as you,
Hmm.
and also a group of people who are like one or two steps behind where you are. So everybody is capable of helping other members go along. And I have to tell you, not only is it incredibly rewarding, but you get some phenomenal ideas from people who attend your sessions by their questions they ask and by the conversations with you have after them. So, be selfish, help yourself by helping them. It's
Yep.
totally okay to do, because you're also then going to become addicted to the feel good nature of it and want to keep helping helping people along just to make you feel good there too. You know
Yep.
that. I've
I
attended
remember.
many of your
I
sessions.
I know there've been so many over the years. I can remember back in my high school and college years, I had such a fear of public speaking. It was just ridiculous. I would have so many such anxiety over standing up and speaking with people. But then I got out of college and into the business environment, and I gradually, got used to it. And eventually started to enjoy it. Actually, going out there and helping people, sharing your knowledge. Even if you get on stage in front of people and you mess up, doesn't matter. You're still sharing something somehow with somebody.
Oh, exactly. When I
So
mess up, not if, when I mess up, I usually just laugh at myself, make a joke, and keep on going. Because, you know, it that's just the way it is. And then for something like Fabric and even Power BI, um it's growing so fast. That means it's changing very fast. So you have to be
mhm.
very comfortable with saying, well, that's new, or where did they move that? And if you if you're not comfortable with those two, then you should stick to
Yep.
something a little more solid. For
Hey, well,
sure.
do you know if they are recording these sessions that you're doing?
They are not. I was
Oh,
at a
okay.
speaker call yesterday and somebody asked that very question, and they are not. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, maybe we'll catch you in person one day, since I'm not going to be there next week, or at another conference with you. So,
Yeah.
I hate I
Yeah.
want to miss next week, but I'm sure everybody will have a great time up there.
Well, we will miss you.
Ah, thank you. All right. So, any other any points you want to throw in there about your sessions or about the conference or the community before we wrap up this session?
No, only that if for those of you who are going, um, make a point to find a buddy. It's very simple to do. One of my favorite things is usually during meals, I find a table where only one person is sitting. Hopefully, they're not trying to hide from everybody else. I ask them if it's okay if I sit, and then I try to find out um, a little bit about them. One of the most insightful questions is just like, what have you learned new that's cool? And it's very enlightening to me. They feel a lot more comfortable. They feel like they have a buddy, and they do.
Hmm.
By doing that, I've actually helped a couple people get jobs at some events. When someone starts telling me that, oh, I just graduated and I'm here learning and I'm doing this, and I ask them more questions, then I usually take them to someone and or introduce them to someone because I'm like, hey, they're looking and they've done this and this. But it's a good thing. Having people in the community is a good thing. And I especially have to say some of the friends that I have made over the years, at events like this is priceless. There's so many people that I am very, very close friends with on a regular basis. Amber Bell, Sean Dord, Mariano Gomez. I mean, we communicate with each other on a regular basis. We visit with each other. Mariano even came. He brought his whole family to Thanksgiving at my house one day, and it was funny because his wife and my husband went to play tennis after dinner, and Mariano and I sat down and started writing power apps. But we all had fun, so that was all that mattered. But yes, very close friends in the community, and I'm quite grateful for all of them. One of my friends, Wilson Mann, he's doing an event, a session, Power BI data modeling. It's his first solo session, so I'm excited for him. But yeah, you never know where you're going to meet someone who's a good friend of yours and who can help you on your journey as all this is changing and help provide insights to you. And along with close friends, I consider a friend of yours one of those, in you too, obviously, but David Lasser, he's, um,
He was my first session this morning.
oh, was he? Yeah,
Yep.
he's, every time I see him, I just break out in smiles. It just makes me happy to see him. He's wonderful. So, yes, take
When I saw him
advantage of that.
last, when I saw him last in Orlando, was it Orlando? No, San Antonio last
San
year, last
Antonio,
October.
yeah.
He was going through the expo hall in a ankle boot because he had sprained his ankle, I think, from skiing, I believe. But he says he's all good to go now. So
Yeah,
all
that's
healed up.
that I saw him too. Actually, I had two friends that were in the same situation, so it was kind of funny. And I'm going to tell a funny story on him. I introduced him to another very dear friend of mine, Reza Rad, and he's very well known in the Power BI community. He lives in New Zealand, and I was standing there talking with David in San Antonio, and Reza walked up. So I introduced him to Reza, and he was so cute. He was just all giddy because he was like, "Oh, I can't believe you introduced me to Reza." But yes, yeah. um, it just go and enjoy yourself. Just have fun. Be willing to learn. I try to learn something new every day, and I joke that if I could
Hmm.
learn it before 7 a.m., I could go back to bed. And I
Awesome.
don't, but I say that.
Well, Belinda, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thanks.
We all really appreciate you sharing your knowledge and experience with the community, and your passions are infectious with us, and we really appreciate you sharing all that.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. That's very sweet of you to say.
Well, have a great trip up there, and I encourage everybody to check out your sessions. And if they can't make your session, because there's so many sessions going on, if they can't make those, hopefully you can meet Belinda in person, maybe over that lunch break or something. But
Yeah.
everybody enjoy DynamicsCon in Chicago. All right. Thank you, Belinda. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You're quite you're
So I have
quite
these.
you're quite valuable to the community for sure. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you for all
I've
you
enjoyed
do.
being part of it over all these years. So it's a little family that has been a huge part of my life and a huge part of yours, and so many other people. So I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, great. Great.
All right, Linda, you have a good one. I will talk to you later.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Bye.
Mm, bye. That wraps up this podcast for Dynamics Weekly. I'm glad you could join me. As always, send me your comments. Good and bad comments are welcomed, but constructive comments are preferred. Likes, shares, and reposts are appreciated. Subscribes are awesome as well. You can subscribe to Dynamics Weekly, the newsletter on LinkedIn, and you can subscribe to the podcast directly on YouTube. Thank you, and have a great week in Chicago at DynamicsCon.